Have we been so far denigrated to the point where the only thing that we have to talk about when it comes to excelling with our nation of men is how to actually be men? I'm going to say this right now. If it wasn't for the Bible, I wouldn't be a man. The Bible made a man out of me. The Holy Bible made a man out of me. And it has made a man out of a lot of brothers, because the laws and the morals written of in that book give men the real rules. Because you got these men, these content creators, these social media personalities, they pretty much make up the rules as they go. Y'all got to understand, just like males and females are both flawed. They're both flawed. Males and females are flawed. You got a lot of people out here making up the rules as they go. Well, a real man don't do this, and a real man this, and this man this. Listen, 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 listen. Let's stop for a second. Let's stop for a second. Slow it down. Take it down just a notch, little baby. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. The Bible tells us how to be a man. It gives us laws. What's a man without morals, without guidelines, without boundaries, without barriers, without rules of engagement? Listen, you're not a man if you don't have a code of conduct. Now, when you look at this pro-black movement, right? You know, when it comes down to it, the Bible prophesied that we will be placed in bondage for not honoring God's laws and commandments, and that no man will redeem us except for Christ. That's been prophesied. So you're going to have a lot of great men that, do great things for the black community and whatnot. But we have this complex as people where we want to give everybody the Messiah crown. We have this complex, this savior complex. And really, we're taking our eyes off the ball. Now, when it comes down to it, what have we gotten from the conscious community, the pro-black community? We got all these skewed lines of perversion when it comes to religion. Let me just state this loud and clear for y'all. Egypt ain't coming back. Egypt is gone, and it ain't coming back. And it's almost like a lot of you pro-black individuals who are holding on, and you're grasping on this memory in this distant history of Egypt. I think you're doing it for a couple of reasons. I think, number one, you're doing it because you think that signifies greatness and you're stuck in the past. Number two, you believe that that's the only point of history where we were great as people. And it's just not true. Now, we got to get into it. Why is it that every other nation of people want to see how they can top themselves? They always trying to see how they can build and make it to the next level, but we want to hold on to the past and whence we fail without even acknowledging why we fail. Picture that. Every other nation want to see how they can do better. They're not holding on to the past. The only way that they're using the past is to learn from the past and try to do better than what they did in the past. But we hold on to something that we believe is great, but we fail. But we don't even focus on why we fail as a nation. I mean, that's the slowest mindset that you can have. That's the pro-black community. That's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, but yet you're expecting different results. That's the conscious community, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one thing that really, it just blows my mind about these pro-black people. Since there's no rules and regulations, there's no standards. So let me give you an example. You have a woman that is butt ass naked online. She flaunting all her goods for the whole world to see. Most people would say, hey, that girl right there is a whore, essentially, right? That's what you would say. If you see that, you'll say, hey, that's a whore. Most people would say that, right? But if you throw a dashiki on her, she then becomes a queen. That's what happened when there's no guidelines. So what's the difference between a whore and a queen? Is a dashiki? Is a woman who's articulate? Is a woman who can use verbiage? See, the Bible gives you rules how a woman should conduct herself. The Bible tell you that a woman should be chaste. A woman should have modest apparel in public, right? So you see where rules come into play. The pro-black community don't understand rules. They don't understand that even the mafia has rules. Every organization, anybody who comes together, they have a code of conduct. But it seems that we believe that we can excel without having a manuscript. Man, I seen some real crazy news, man. I seen these two teenage boys, they get pulled over by the police and they literally get into a shootout with the cops. They fatally wound one and then they basically hook one up to life support. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. And what's crazy about it is since the young boys, the teenagers were black, you still had that mother of those teenagers talking about, I know it's got to be another side to the story. I know that, the police are this and the police are that. And it's like, yo, where's the accountability in our community? It's like no accountability. None. No accountability whatsoever. So, first and foremost, the pro-black community made it so we have no accountability. Black Lives Matter, they feed off of that. Yeah. And now look at Black Lives Matter. You had the founder or the alleged founder of Black Lives Matter. She went and moved to a conclave, a ritzy conclave in the hills of California, and ran off with the plug. And the only reason those type of things can happen is because you have a community that don't take accountability and people who would feast off of that. Agimo, thank you for the $10 contribution, says straight heat breed. I always say that the black conscious movement always failed because it's too ego based and repetitive, latching on to anything black, good or bad. Exactly. You're absolutely right. And I'm not gonna go live real long, but I'm gonna break something down to y'all, right? All right. One thing that a lot of these pro-black conscious community people have in common is they often disregard or all out dismiss the entire Holy Bible. And I just, for the life of me, cannot wrap my mind around it. They always totally disregard the Holy Bible. And ladies and gentlemen, the Bible is the most black book that you can have. I mean, literally, let me go to some scriptures here. Let's go to Acts chapter 13, verse 1. In Acts chapter 13, verse 1, it says, now there were in the church that was of Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas, Simeon, they were called Niger, and Lucius, and Cyrene, and Mena, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. They were called what? They were called Niger. Now hold up, what's Niger? What is Niger? What's the definition of Niger? Let's go there. I'm going to go to the definition of Niger. It says, now, first and foremost, let's put it out here. Niger means black, but the root word is actually Niger. The Western tongue, which I'm not going to say, but the Western twang added to it, it makes it derogatory. But let's get where this all came from. Not to be confused with, let's get it. It says, let's get the root word of Niger, right? It's been used as an ethnic slur, typically directed against black people, especially African Americans, because it's considered extremely offensive. And this is with the Western tongue, right? But the word originated in the 18th century as an adaptation of the Spanish word niger and negro, right? It says over time, it took a derogatory connotation. So guess what? It means Negro. It just told you in the Holy Bible that the prophets of old, it gave you a handful of them right there, right? It said that they were Negroes. But wait, there's more, right? There's more. Let's go to Jeremiah 14 and 2. Jeremiah 14 and 2, excuse me. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. It says they are black unto the ground. Now, what does that mean? They're the color of dirt. They're black unto the ground. The Most High God created man from where, ladies and gentlemen? From the soil. So why is this book being ignored in the so-called conscious community? Well, even if you don't consider yourself conscious, I mean, I hear a lot of people throwing a black card out there. A lot of people got a lot of pro-black sentiments in their talking points. But how the hell can you be pro-black and throw out the most historically relevant book that happens to be a black book? It makes no sense to me, right? But wait, there's more. Let's go to Revelations chapter 1 and let's go to 14. And this is speaking in regards to Christ. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass. His feet unto fine brass. And it says, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Now it says his hair was white like wool, ladies and gentlemen. You know, like sheep's fur. Wool is very thick and coarse, correct? And then it goes on to say that his feet were like fine brass, as though it had been burnt in a furnace. So it's safe to say that if Christ's feet was like fine brass burnt through a furnace, it's safe to say that he had the rest of his body melanated because his hair was woolly. He had dark skin and woolly hair. And then if you look in at the particular place in the world where he dwelled, it would be highly likely that he would be a man of color. Matter of fact, it would be non-dismissive. It would be pretty much, it would be astronomically impossible for him not to be a man of color, especially when his parents, Joseph and Mary, to avoid persecution, they ran into Egypt. And we know that they were people of color. If he was a quote unquote white man, then they would have pretty much stuck out like a sore thumb. How could they hide among the Egyptians if they were white people? Courtney Johnson, thank you for the $5 contribution. Says, I pray that the Most High keep on keeping you, protect you, Nubreed. Keep going with them fire teachings. All praises to the Most High. True love. Thank you for the $20 contribution. Somebody said a man of all colors. Ah, man, a man of all colors. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. It's like people want the Bible to say what they want the Bible to say. I'm going to be nice today because I know I just came off this long road trip and I'm trying to be nicer and I'm trying to stop calling people stupid in my